Welcome back to How to Lead the Ultimate Worship Set. This is part 3, the last part of this series. So, this part is about the delivery. So, we're going to dive right in. The first thing you need to do is show up. So, show up on time? Nope. On time is late. You got to show up early. So, why do we show up early? It's to help set up the stage for your volunteers to make sure that they don't have to stress out about the least amount of things, and to make sure that they're focused on what they need to do to get ready, and in turn it's going to help you out and make your life a whole lot easier. For a warm up, I would suggest that you do a run through the first song, and that would give your sound team a chance to do a sound check and make sure that everything is on, everything is functional. Also, as soon as that's done, I would go straight to doing a quick game plan with your band. So with your band, you'd be able to um, give them a quick rundown as to what to expect, how many times you do chorus, just the basics of how you plan to structure your practice and your set. Then we move on to transitioning, practicing the transitions at least twice. I would definitely practice that twice because that's usually where the issues are whenever you transition from one song to another, to make sure that everyone's on the same boat. Uh, as you guys are doing your run through, your rehearsal, because it's not a practice, it's a rehearsal, right? So as you guys are doing your rehearsal, make sure that you're paying attention to the mistakes that you hear. If you hear it once, I would let it go. Here's why: because if you heard it, there's a good chance your volunteer heard it, and they're just going to self-adjust, and that you don't even need to worry about that. If you hear it a second time, that's when I would bring it up and just try and fix that mistake as quickly as possible, and in the most loving way. I would also encourage you to have fun with your team. Um, you know, it's a very structured, very stressful time, but have fun with it. Crack some jokes. Be friendly. Obviously, be friendly. But there's one church I used to go to, and what they did with their volunteers right before the service happened, they would get together and pray, and at the end of the prayer, they would just raffle off a gift card for one of the volunteers, and that was a great way to show appreciation for the people that put so much effort into making this Sunday happen. So the next thing we're gonna touch on is making sure that you plan what you say and what you read. So you don't want to wing it. And in fact, I would even say that you're not just a song leader; you're a worship leader. So as you engage the congregation, you have to make sure that you talk to them. You're not just gonna start singing and like expect them to join. You gotta engage with them. And so plan what you want to say before you even get there. If you need to write it down, I'd write it down as well. Try not to command people to sit and stand or raise their hands. That's one of the things that we got to really strive to work away from. So if you feel led to stand, sounds less forceful, and it'll avoid the church aerobics of sitting and standing, and that gets under some people's skin. So at this point, you just let them do whatever they want to do and let the spirit lead. So whatever you say, you have to make sure that you keep it brief. So there's already a sermon. They don't need to hear that from you. In fact, they'll probably just tune you out anyways. However, it is a pastoral moment where you get to explain the why of the song, why this song matters, and that's how you get to engage people. So it is important to speak, obviously, but it should be kept pretty brief. Next thing is call outs. Call outs, for example, if you sing in the song Hosanna, when you get to the chorus of Hosanna, before you sing it, you would say Hosanna, and then you go on with it. We see that a lot with, you can YouTube this and Google it. You'll see videos of big worship leaders, and they do call outs and stuff. This is to help people, remind them to remind people to sing along with you. So that's a very good strategy as well. Um, if ever you find yourself in a situation where you're ready to start the service and people are just kind of like mingling still in the hallway, whatever, instead of like tapping on the microphone and asking them to, hi, can you hear me? We're going to start and like being super awkward about it. You could say something like, good morning. If you haven't already found your seat, please find your seat. We're about to start our service. So by saying something like that, you pre-plan it, you can write it ahead of time. It kind of gets that nice smooth transition. So the next thing is to be as close as possible to memorizing the lyrics and chords. And the reason why is because we don't want to have our gaze, our eyes fixed on the confidence monitor, the music stand, or the iPad. We want to be able to have our eyes available to be able to look at the congregation and engage them. So that's super important. I would even say that this is along the lines of Psalm 33:3. Uh, we're not looking to be perfect in the room. We're looking for excellence and excellence in the eyes of God. And so, he knows all the practice, all the effort that you did, coming in before Sunday. That's really what excellence is. You're doing the best that you can to memorize and to actually engage his people. So this is where it gets pretty important. All right, so up next we have smooth transitions. So in the previous video, part 2, we talked briefly about transitions. But now we're going to do a little bit more of a deep dive. So transitions are super important because when you use pads, apps, or even an iPad to make sure that you have that soundscape transitioning one song to the other, you don't create that dead sound, that distraction when you're, fumbling around your papers or whatever. All that's going to be buried when you have that sound going over you and helping you transition from one song to the other. So the metaphor that I heard was about this balloon. So you've worked very hard to create that balloon in that previous song, that really big, beautiful balloon where you had all that energy, all that ambiance, all that arrangement. And then all of a sudden, if you have that dead silence, it's like letting all of the air out of the thing you just worked really hard to build. So by having a smooth transition, you keep that arrangement, you keep that energy, and it doesn't just disappear and you have to start all over again. So that's kind of what we want to make sure that we keep is that nice transition, keep that energy flowing from one song to the other, even if they're in a different key. As a leader, I would also encourage you that, especially when you get to your practice time, to know things like four on the floor, cymbal wash, talking about a melody, a lick, so to the guitarist or to the keyboarder, uh, having that kind of terminology to explain to your other instrumentalists will help make them understand what you actually have for a vision, what you want to have for your transition. So knowing that terminology is super important. So this is a big one. Smile. Because you don't even know how angry you look if you don't smile and you're up there leading worship. So stage presence, that's the topic of this one. Stage presence is super important. So it's not just smiling, it's posture. If you stand nice and straight and your head up, you look more inviting, more engaging than if you had your head down and slouched over like this, right? So you got to make sure that you have good posture as well. So I would even say, in terms of engaging, if you're not mic'd up or if you're backing away from the microphone to let somebody else sing part of the song, you can sing too. You just don't have to sing in a microphone, but you can sing too. If you're an instrumentalist at the back, you can sing along as well. It's more engaging. At some point, somebody's going to be looking at you anyway, so you might as well engage them as well. Don't close your eyes for the same reason we talked about before. If you have your eyes on a music stand or on an iPad or on the confidence monitor, you're not engaging the audience. So why would you keep your eyes closed? It as a leader, it's not recommended. Your own personal worship, you can do what you want, but as a leader, you got to have that engagement. Don't look sloppy. I know God looks at the inside and not at the outside, but whether we like it or not, as humans, we look and we somehow judge based on how people look. And so we don't want people thinking that we just got there and, just put this together really sloppily because we look sloppy. We want to look at least put together and show the hard work that we put into making them be able to worship and making us to be able to worship, I should say. And so take care of your appearance. And this goes along with church culture too. If your church culture is okay to have a beanie or a hat on, or it's suit and tie, you got to figure that out with your own church leadership. Um, but the bottom line is you got to make sure you give God your best. And same with body language. If you got your feet on the ground planted and you're just deer in the headlights, it's not very engaging. It looks like you're afraid. And it's normal to be a little bit fearful to be in front of people or whatever. But when you're leading worship, I would even suggest that you should look at what are you more fearful of? Are you fearful of what man thinks, or are you fearful of what God thinks? So that might be something, going back to the first video, something about the heart. And don't be fake, be you. People can smell fake from very far away. So don't be someone else. If you're a no sudden movements kind of person, don't force yourself to be. You can be more animated, but you don't need to be, flailing your arms and stuff like that. It will look fake and it will be noticeable. So another thing that I would do is I would seek out people from the congregation. And this is what I mean. So when you're up on the stage, you are engaging with eye contact. You can see people. You can see people that are truly worshiping to the max. So after the service, go up to them. Be like, hey man, I saw the way that you're worshiping. You inspired me when I was up there. So what that's going to do is it's going to inspire them to be worship leaders in the congregation, and that's going to work and make your church so much cooler. And at the end of the day, they do want to meet you. So if you're new to the church or you haven't been a part of the church for a while, go meet people, because you're not just a worship leader. I know really big mega churches, they had the green room in the back or whatever. Most churches aren't like that. And so I would definitely go out and meet people as much as possible, because that's what creates those connections. Once you have those connections, people are more engaged. They want to hear what you have to say, and they'll most likely want to worship with you. So as we're closing out this video and this series, this 3-part series, I want to briefly mention that as a worship leader and as a worship team, you guys are the thermostat. You guys set the feel or the energy of the congregation and how they sing and worship God. So as a congregation, they're going to be the thermometer. They're not going to lie. They're going to give you exactly what you're putting out. And so what you get back is what you need to focus on. So if you find yourself in a situation where people are not showing up to the worship part of the service, or people are not singing along, this is why I put together this 3-part series, because there's something in there that's not clicking with your congregation and that you would need to revisit. So I really hope that you found this series useful. If you did like it, like and subscribe, please. This would really help put this information out there to help more people. Hey, so as I was editing these videos, I realized that I forgot to put a clip about, I want to hear from you guys. In the 3 videos, is there something that you would add to the list that I have on how to lead the ultimate worship set? If there is, throw them in the comments. Let's have a discussion about it.